Hey, y'all, thanks for being here tonight. Thanks for all the Memphis Rocks folks. Um, I'm Nikki Smith. I'm a National Geographic adventure photographer. I've worked for I've been in climbing for more than 30 years. I've been working as a photographer for more than 20. I'm also a climber and have done a lot of first ascents, write guidebooks. So climbing has been my career. And this is the first time giving this talk, so I'm going to be reading a little bit. But I'm going to talk about some of the things that I've learned while I've been out here climbing. And I think I'm just going to sit down because I don't want to be in the way of the photos. I have the photos going in the background because it makes my talk probably sound better than it actually is. But when you look at these photos, keep in mind that for every single one of these that you see up here, there are thousands that you'll never see. A lot of those were the first ones that I took that got rejected over and over. They were the ones that were just slightly too blurry, or someone's head was turned the wrong way, or they were just okay. They were the ones where I completely botched it and didn't get the shot. So to become the photographer that I am now, I've had so many failures and so many rejections, whether that was from magazines, companies, contests, awards. And in that process, though, I learned that no matter how good you are, you're not for everyone, whether that's your work or yourself. And it might be a difference of style, subject matter, composition. It might be that I use too much color or not enough color in my photography. But whatever it is, you can't be everything to everyone. So don't give up on your art, your projects, or the work that you're passionate about just because you're turned down. Take what you can from that rejection, use that feedback for review, and if what they have to say is relevant, keep it. If not, fuck it. On the flip side, I think so many of us who have been in art or we do any activity, our parents, friends, family, they tell us how amazing we are and that we should go pro or do this or that. And I've had a lot of cheerleaders in my life, but they can't be objective. They don't fully understand everything that we do, and it's not always helpful. So I sought out mentors. I think a lot of y'all out here, and especially folks at Memphis Rocks, have had a lot of mentors in getting to where you are now. Seek them out. They're people who are willing to tell me the hard truths about my work, but they were also to tell me why my work wasn't good. And then it was on me to take that advice, work on it, and come back over and over and over. And that advice can hurt, but it can help us grow. You know, we don't become better artists or climbers, friends, partners, any of that if we only focus on our strengths. That's a big part of climbing, is working on our weaknesses. So don't shy away from that. Another part of what's brought me here to this point are the relationships. Some folks have already spoken about this tonight. You know, I've had relationships with photo editors, marketing directors, other staff at magazines and companies, relationships with the athletes that have to trust that I'm going to make them look good, that I'm not going to get in their way, that I can keep up, that my idea to start the day at 2:30 in the morning and hike 4 or 5 miles to meet the sunrise is actually going to be worth it. And no matter how good my work is, again, it's the relationships I've built that continue to get me that work. And when I look back to the start of my career, there's 2 distinct choices that I made that started all this in motion. The first was during my freshman year at the University of Utah. I didn't know anyone. I just moved back to Utah after serving in the Army for 3 years. And I wanted to find climbing partners, but I couldn't really find anyone. And this was before social media existed. So I started a climbing club. And through that, I started meeting people. I organized slideshows, which got me the attention of a lot of the climbing brands and athletes. It allowed me to meet professional climbers and helped build community. And the second choice that I made was to scrub toilets. I didn't have the money to go to a climbing gym, and wanted to go, but after talking to some of the staff, they told me that if I would come in the evenings a couple nights a week and scrub toilets and clean up the gym, I could get a membership. So 3 to 4 nights a week, I'd do that. I showed up at 10:30, night after night, scrub toilets, mop up, throw up, blood, whatever, just so I could climb. And I made sure I did a good job. And later I was offered a staff position at that gym. And many of my closest friends to this day, climbing partners of more than 20 years, came from that first couple years at that gym. I learned how to teach climbing. I became a route setter. I found more mentors and met more people in the industry. I got to know the owners of the gym, of the climbing guide service, and they were the ones that later on gave me my first job as a climbing guide. I put myself in a position to have the opportunities that came after that cascade out of the relationships that I built, all because I was willing to scrub toilets because I loved climbing so much. And if I'd not been able to do that, I wouldn't be right here today. So I took any opportunity I could to gain entrance and then exceeded the expectations set for me. Another one of the things that comes up a lot is I'm a climber, a climbing guide, and climbing photographer. I hang off cliffs taking photos. I guess not that one, that one's running, but I'm afraid of heights. And I'm still afraid of heights. And for a lot of people, the idea of making a career out of something that exposes you to one of your fears seems ridiculous. But for me, I think it's a part of what's made me succeed. Learning to work through my fear has helped me apply this to many other parts of my life. It's a constant process. I have not conquered it and never will, but I've learned how to manage it. I think if I ever got to the point where I wasn't afraid of heights, I know I'd have to quit climbing. Fear isn't always the enemy. For me, fear led me to find mentors. Fear led me to read everything I could, to constantly learn new techniques and skills in classes and from those with more experience. I learned how to read snow and avalanche conditions, to interpret what the different sounds of my crampons or axes meant when I was on ice, whether it was safe for the quality of the ice or that section. I learned geology, so that many types of rock and how that affected the styles of climbing and how to protect it. Learning to work with that fear ensured that I could look inward and determine what was rational and what was irrational fear. I learned how to take risks in the safest possible way. And that was because I did as much learning as I could to understand the situation that I was in. And knowing that I had the experience and knowledge to go out there allows me to keep returning out there even though I'm afraid. And I've failed over and over. I've gotten off route. I've had to reevaluate my plan. I've fallen. I've failed to start. But from each of these experiences, I've learned from them. I've listened to my experience and backed off, even when another part of me or my partners wanted to keep going. Our education isn't just what we learn in class or in school or in the gym. It comes from taking that knowledge, going out there and testing it over and over and over, seeing how it applies to the situation. If you succeed every time you go out there, you're likely not trying hard enough or pushing or challenging yourself enough. I think we're all here this weekend to do some of the things I've just mentioned. You know, a lot of y'all, at least in some of the clinics, haven't climbed outdoors much. We're here to be a part of a community and face some of our fears while in a beautiful place. These are a big part of what Memphis Rocks does and their mission, which is an amazing thing. There's a lot of difficult things going on right now in the world. And for a lot of us, we're probably having a hard time, maybe feeling afraid for the future. And I think it's only natural that we feel that fear. In some ways, I don't know, at least for me, having an emotional roller coaster every single week when I hear the news. But I think we need to remember that we have chosen to climb and be in the outdoors. And that's a privilege to take a difficult path. For all y'all that went out in the woods today and climbed, you probably could walk up the backside of some of these boulders. And instead, we're picking difficult line to come up. And we might be failing at it over and over and over, yet we keep coming back. Instead of relaxing inside in air conditioning, we're choosing to walk, run, or ride uphill. Some of y'all carried your tents, sleeping bags and stuff out here. Like, that's uncomfortable. We're choosing to do that. And the more that we choose those paths, the more that we can try to apply those to the rest of our life. There's so many easier paths that we could have done. And as we look towards the future, I think we need to really draw the lessons that we're learning in climbing and these other outdoor areas and try to apply them to everything else. We have so many experiences, tools, and life lessons that we've gained through our activities by choosing that difficulty and leaning into that, knowing that we'll never conquer those fears or difficulties, but continuing on anyway in the way that best fits us. When I look back at all the times that I was really close to giving up, whether it was on a dream or my career, friends, or myself, I think a lot of times I was only thinking of myself. I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned is how wrong I was in thinking that way. When we give up on our dreams, we not only deprive ourselves of living our best life, but we also deprive all of those around us of witnessing that. We deprive them of an example to emulate. We deprive them of the opportunities that come from the work that we could have done, and we deprive them of the opportunity to join with us in community, just like we are tonight. I'm fortunate that my story has been shared worldwide, and I've been able to see some of the impact of the decisions I've made to show up as the best version of myself. And while I love to hear how my photography or other work in the outdoors has inspired others, nothing's compared to the messages I've received from people who found comfort in knowing that they're not alone. That through my story, they decided to come out or be themselves or not end their life because they saw someone else like them out there succeeding and doing what they love, just like in those photos. I was afraid to come here. We had a lot of talks with Memphis Rock just because of what's going on in Utah where I live. There was an assassination of someone and things have been kind of scary out there. But I came anyway because I belong here just like all of y'all belong here. This is our community. We belong in these spaces and we have strength in coming here together. So don't let fear of any type deprive us the privilege of witnessing the best version of yourselves. Continue to show up, continue to strive and learn and grow, even in failure. Continue to work on achieving your dreams regardless of the challenges before you. Continue to advocate for yourself and for others and for what's right. Continue to speak out. Continue to show up and be seen because everyone deserves to be seen and heard. Thank y'all.